So you willingly and knowingly support somebody as president that you think has sexually exploited naked girls?
Plenty of people have.
Wait. Just because plenty of individuals have engaged in an action doesn't mean that the action's not morally wrong. Think about how many men married children, right? It happens so
disgusting.
much that it was deemed as normal. Does that make it any less morally wrong?
No, I actually advocate for that on my page.
Fucking precisely. So cut it with this plenty of them have done it bullshit, therefore you're okay with it. Hey, what's up? Do you support Trump?
I do.
Oh, man, no, you shouldn't. He's a really terrible president and a terrible guy too.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to touch base on the files and those types of things.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We could talk about Donald Trump's a sexual predator that, sexually exploited women and girls at Miss Teen USA, Miss USA. We could talk about how he was best friends with Epstein. According to Epstein, in an email from 2011, knew exactly what he was doing with the girls, did and said nothing, was best friends with him. Let's talk about it. How is this somebody that you could possibly support?
Okay, so initially, talking pageant-wise. So are we totally disregarding, the women who have spoken out who actually partook in those pageants and kind of were there on the scene and what they spoke out about, him not being a predator and actually going into those rooms after they were dressed and all those types of things? Or
no, we're not disregarding it at all because I'd accept the testimony of one of the pageant contestants that spoke out in years later and said that she was a beauty pageant contestant at Miss Teen USA 1997 that said every single time Donald Trump walked backstage on me I had clothes on, right? But I don't think that discounts the testimony of other victims that said that they didn't have clothes on when he do it to them, not to mention the fact that in this clip Donald Trump himself says that they were naked.
Okay, so which contestants were those that claimed that he walked in when they weren't dressed?
Yeah, for sure. Let me grab their names real quick. But before I give you their names, why don't you just accept Donald Trump's word for it? He said they were naked.
I just would like the facts,
Okay,
because he can say whatever he wants to say, but initially these women who actually went through this, I would like to have their word over his. See what I'm saying?
Well, I think that their words align here. No response?
I didn't even hear a word you said. I'm sorry.
I said that I think that I think that their word would align here.
Okay, well, I'm waiting for it. Who were they?
Here we go. Mariah Bilato, who was a former Miss Vermont Teen USA, then 3 other women who asked to keep their names anonymous. But once again, right, it's not a question if Donald Trump did this to them. It's not a question if Donald Trump walked backstage while they're naked, considering that Donald Trump said he did. We have a direct admission of guilt from the person who did it, right? This would be like a buddy of mine going to a party last night. It was Friday, right? And then coming to me today and telling me that he raped a woman at that party, and then that woman coming to me and saying that he raped me at this party. It would be preposterous. It would be insane for me to deny that he raped her. Just like it's preposterous and insane for you to deny the fact that Donald Trump sexually exploited naked women and naked girls at Miss USA and Miss Teen USA, considering the fact that he said he sexually exploited him. He said that he sexually exploited them, and they said that he sexually exploited him.
So are you in reference to the Howard Stern clip? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so could you play that clip real quick for us again?
Yeah, of course.
Well, you could.
Of course, I'll never.
You could also say is. You could also say as the owner of the pageant.
1 second. I'll never pass up on an opportunity to play that clip. You got it.
Say hello with vagina. And
you could also say as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else, and no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. Right, I want to make sure that
you're like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
Okay, and what was the initial question that was asked before he said that?
Oh, you want to hear the full context? Let's go to play the full context.
Yeah, I would love to.
Only makes it worse.
Construed, however, as
conflict?
Yes.
Well, I don't see it as a conflict.
It could be a conflict of interest, but it's the kind of thing you worry about later.
Oh, I see.
You tend to think about the conflict a little bit later on.
The question is, how can it not be construed?
No, I mean, some of these foreign girls, Mr. Trump, in my country, we say hello with vagina. And
you could also say as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now, I'll
tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting.
That literally tells nobody anything. That
Right.
literally,
Well, I mean, it
that
just kinda makes it a
context
little
gives
bit-
us absolutely nothing.
I wouldn't say that it changes absolutely anything of his testimony, that being that he testified to the sexual exploitation of women and girls. It just makes it a little bit worse because he seems to acknowledge that it's a conflict of interests, meaning that he seems to acknowledge that, yeah, he is sexually exploiting them by abusing his position of power as the owner of the pageant, by allowing himself to unconsensually barge into those dressing rooms, to then abuse their position of vulnerability, feeling vulnerable enough to take their clothes off, to get undressed and change in a private woman's only space, to look at them while they're naked, unconsensually, which would amount to sexual exploitation. Now, in your bio, it says God first, you're a good Christian. God says sexual exploitation is wrong. Do you?
110%.
Okay.
Now,
so then
we
you
can
so then you
argue-
agree that
we can argue religion.
So do you agree here that what Donald Trump admitted to is sexual exploitation?
No, not
Okay.
at all.
Well,
because once again, you take the
let's-
testimonies. Hold on, Dean.
Let's first
Dean,
define
look.
sexual exploitation. Could you just allow me to run this dialogue train on you real quick?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so you deny that what Donald Trump admitted to in that clip is sexual exploitation. Hopefully in like the next 60 seconds, I'll be able to change your mind. Do you agree that the definition of sexual exploitation would include one's abuse of a position of power over another person's position of vulnerability in the furtherance of unconsensual sexual conduct?
Correct.
Okay, so in this clip, Donald Trump said that he would allow himself to walk backstage into this dressing room, that's him abusing his position of power, to then look at these women when they had no clothes on, that's abusing their position of vulnerability, for the furtherance of the unconsensual sexual conduct, that unconsensual sexual conduct being him unconsensually looking at them while they were naked.
That literally, there was no context in that clip speaking about these women being undressed.
Yes, there
None.
was. So there
None-
was.
no, okay,
I'll
go
make sure to
ahead.
replay that for you. So just to clarify,
okay.
when I have no clothes on, I'm naked. What about you?
It depends on the amount of clothing I have on,
Well,
right? So if I don't have a bra,
no,
I don't have
but
a bra.
well, you just said it would depend on the amount of clothing you have on. So therefore, if you have no
Correct.
clothing on, you're naked, correct?
Yeah, no clothing on. Okay, so go ahead.
So therefore, if Donald Trump said they had no clothes on, they'd be naked, correct?
Yeah,
So
right.
if they were naked, it would be sexual exploitation, correct?
Yeah, right. But it's making sexual contact with someone. Yeah.
Wow. So I'm now
you
going to
just
play.
gave me that
I'm
definition.
now going to go ahead and play you the clip where he says they had no clothes on. And once I play you this clip and you listen to him say that they had no clothes on, you're going to have to concede that he sexually exploited them, which will be in about 15 seconds.
Everything is
doctor,
good.
you're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no left. And I want to make sure that
You're like a
everything is
doctor,
good.
you're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no left. I want to make sure that
You're like a
everything is
doctor,
good.
you're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no left. Dress. Is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no left. They're standing there with no left. They're standing there with no left. Is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no left. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
Okay, right. So the rest of that clip, right? He would have had to have finished that word. Okay. I know you were being condescending when you were slowing that down, trying to explain this to me. But I'm asking you, was that before or after he entered those rooms, right? Because again, we have two testimonies from contestants. right?
Wait. Why are you saying anything other than, yeah, he sexually exploited them?
Because it's not sexual exploitation by your definition, right? Unless he's making sexual contact with them,
Chloe?
yes or no?
Chloe? Move it on to the next
Dean?
issue.
Dean?
Right, down.
Is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no.
Let me replay the stream for you.
Yeah,
So
right.
if they were naked, it would be sexual exploitation, correct?
Yeah, right. But it's making sexual contact with someone, yeah?
Wow. So I'm now
you
going to
just
play.
gave me that
I'm
definition.
now going to go ahead and play you the clip where he said. You said
Right,
if
the
they
same
were
thing
naked,
I just said like 30 seconds ago, okay?
You said if they were naked, then it would be sexual exploitation.
Making sexual contact with them, yes.
Yeah. So sexual conduct would be him looking at them while they're naked. So sexual violence.
Contact. You said contact,
Oh,
yeah?
so sexual violence and sexual conduct, all right, are not always physical.
How does that even work?
Well, I'll give this is an example. Peeping Tom.
Okay, so essentially like you're talking about maybe like when trans people enter like restrooms.
Oh, so
And,
if you
like,
think it's
or locker rooms?
so if you think it's sexual exploitation for a trans woman to walk inside of a woman's restroom, well, then you'd have to accept that it's definitely sexual exploitation for Trump to walk into this dressing room. But in fact, you're denying that Donald Trump is engaging in sexual exploitation when he does so, and you're arguing that it's completely morally permissible. So because you're the one that's making the equivocation between the actions of Trump and the actions of trans women, then you're telling me that it's actually acceptable for trans women to use a woman's restroom. So not only did you just lose the debate, because whenever the Republican brings up trans women, right, you know the debate's over. over because you just pivoted away from the substance of the dialogue. But in fact, according to your logic, it's actually completely morally permissible and totally fine for trans women to use a women's restroom, considering the fact that you're equivocating that to what Trump did, and you're defending what Trump did, therefore you defend the trans women too. So thank you for acknowledging that you lost the debate by pivoting to trans people. Oh, but trans people, but immigrants. Oh my God, but gay people, right? You know, come on, embarrassing. But then also, according to your logic, you're okay with trans women using the women's restroom. I don't know how. I don't know how you ever see that coming. I don't know how you ever see that coming.
You're steamrolling, but I'm asking you a question, which was in that context, in that clip, right? Was he already in these rooms, or was he outside of these rooms? Yes or no? Outside, inside, outside, inside. He said in these clips that he was inside of those rooms.
Yeah, he bragged about walking into the changing rooms and seeing them with no clothes on.
Yeah,
how could he see them doing that? Also, I have a question. Chloe, I have a question. Do you think it's sexual exploitation for people that own Airbnbs, like say in certain circumstances, this is obviously not true and all, if they were to like literally put cameras in the context of bathrooms to look at people while they're naked? Do you think that would be sexual exploitation? Or would you say it's not sexual exploitation because there was no physical contact?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely exploitation.
Okay, so if that's exploitation, so wouldn't exactly that
right? But I was initially speaking about his definition.
No, hold up. That proves that sexual exploitation can exist in situations in which there's no physical contact.
Okay, but if you're standing outside of a door, that's not sexual exploitation. Okay, you see what I'm saying? So that's initially the question I was asking was whether or not he was inside or outside.
Donald Trump said he barged in. Donald Trump said that he allowed himself in. Plus, he said that he sees the women. The only way that you could see a naked woman changing inside of a private woman's only changing room would to be in the changing room yourself. Duh! Fucking hell, dude.
Well, yeah, clearly. But I'm asking. I was asking about that specific clip.
Clearly.
Right?
Fucking clearly.
Yeah, we know. Okay, so I initially came up here to talk to you about the files, right?
Before we move on, though, we established that sexual exploitation can occur without physical contact. So then you would agree that Donald Trump engaged in sexual exploitation, correct?
Okay.
Whatever makes your heart happy.
So then would you support Donald Trump if he engaged in sexual exploitation? No? Okay, so he did engage in sexual exploitation.
Not in that moment. I still support my president through and through.
You just said that you wouldn't support Donald Trump if he engaged in sexual exploitation. You just admitted that he did engage in sexual exploitation, so then you don't support him anymore?
No, I do.
Oh, okay. So you willingly and knowingly support somebody as president that you think has sexually exploited naked girls.
Plenty of people have.
Wait, Chloe. Okay, just because plenty of individuals have engaged in an action doesn't mean that the action's not morally wrong. Think about how many men married children across the world today and 500 years ago, right? It happens so disgusting. Much that it was deemed as normal. Does that make it any less morally wrong?
No, I actually advocate for that on my page.
Precisely. So cut it with this. Plenty of them have done it bullshit, therefore you're okay with it. Not to mention that Kamala Harris sure didn't. Kamala Harris sure didn't sexually exploit children.
She's a woman, so it's kind of hard to sexually exploit women when you're a woman.
Oh, wait.
We agree?
So you admit that women are significantly less likely to engage in sexual exploitation than men?
No, I'm not saying that, but women on women
whoa, that's what the facts say.
Dean, you're not even letting me finish my point.
Wait, then also sexual exploitation, you're crashing out, calm down. Sexual exploitation is not mutually exclusive to women. Right? Men can be sexually exploited too. Boys can be sexually exploited too.
I'm aware of that, but I'm talking about women on women, right? So if a woman walks into a locker room,
but Kamala Harris hasn't engaged in any sexual exploitation, any of men or of women, of boys or of girls.
You are crashing out because I'm trying to finish my point and you're not even letting me. You're just steamrolling. This is what happens every single time. Wow. So can I finish my point? Yes or no?
You sound very aggressive.
I sound fine.
I don't know. You sound pretty angry.
I don't know. Okay, so once again, right, when a woman, right, walks into a public restroom or a public changing room or a public locker room, it is way less likely for that to be perceived as sexual exploitation given that it's a woman, right, staring at a woman. Yes or no?
So, well, a woman has consent to go into a woman's space.
Right, exactly my point. Okay. So I'm talking about woman on woman.
I don't know why you would just be talking about woman on woman when I said that Kamala Harris hasn't sexually exploited anybody, woman or man.
Because we're literally talking about the sexual exploitation of women.
And I responded to you saying that you still support Donald Trump because he sexually exploited individuals, because other individuals have too, by telling you, well, one person that surely hasn't is Kamala Harris. So how could you argue that you still support Donald Trump as president, even though you know he sexually exploited women and girls, by arguing that other individuals have done it too, when Kamala Harris is somebody that hasn't?
Okay, women and girls is a very, very large claim. You're talking about women and then you're talking about girls, which are underage women. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so where are we talking about? What are we talking about when we're talking about girls? Let's get that straight first.
I'm doing this at Miss Teen USA.
Miss Teen USA. And what did you say earlier when you were asked about the ages of these girls?
Oh, I said 14 through 19.
14 through 19. You actually said, if I remember correctly, you said 20 to about 28. Yes or no?
That's Miss USA.
That's for Miss USA. Also, it'd be 15 through 19. And also, like, that doesn't... You understand, he gave you accounts for people who literally expressed this. There were people who were there at Miss Teen USA that talked about how Donald Trump would barge in, literally when there were girls as young as 15 years old in these changing rooms. How could you sit there and defend this? How could you say that you still support Trump when Kamala Harris has not getting engaged in such actions?
Yeah.
Okay, so
why do you use a
I would
good
love
Christian
for you to sit
still
here and I
support
would
somebody
love for
who's
you
president
to...
who sexually exploited people? Like, that's sick.
Once again, I would love for you to break these timelines down for me and the ages of these people. That would be awesome.
Yeah, so according to, let's see here, according to Mariah Bilato, who was a former Miss Vermont Teen USA who Donald Trump did this to, she said that this happened to her, many others, with some being as young as 15.
The anonymous ones, yeah?
They are not named. They could have been the anonymous ones, or they could have been individuals that didn't even testify.
So it's kind of outrageous, right, for you to make these claims without decent evidence to back it up.
Yeah, the decent evidence to back it up is the broad sweeping claim that Donald Trump made when he said that he'd do this at the pageants. Now, if like you personally think, right, that Donald Trump saying that he would broadly do this at his pageants and then like multiple underage victims saying that he did it to them is not enough evidence, I think that you're crazy. But like my response would just simply be, well, then you're arguing that he merely just sexually exploited women, not underage girls. But see, the thing is I don't think that the sexual exploitation of women is too much different than the sexual exploitation of underage girls. Because it's sexual exploitation of girls because girls can't consent, and it's sexual exploitation of women because although they have the ability to consent, they didn't consent. So in both circumstances, it would still be unconsensual. Right? But I expect you to do, right, your like idolatry of Trump. You treat him like a god. Get that God first out of your body, or Trump first. I expect you to do the MAGA sophistry. I expect you to, like try to pull on any leg you could find to attempt to stand on to construct an argument, right, that I don't have enough evidence to believe that he did this to underage girls, even though he said he did this at his pageants broadly, and multiple underage victims said he did it to them, right? Which is like insane that you don't think that's enough evidence. But even if he just did it to women, like why is that not enough, right? Like why can't we draw a hard red line at our president sexually exploiting women?
Okay, so the issue I have with this, right, is that you're making claims, okay, against someone, right, without the concrete evidence to support the fact that he was sexually exploiting girls.
The concrete. Oh my God! So why aren't you responding to my question,
evidence.
Chloe? I'm so sorry. You're a silly fucking goose. Okay, if you're not going to respond to what the hell I'm saying here, I already told you. I believe that we have more than enough evidence to demonstrate that that occurred, considering the fact that he said he broadly did this at his pageants, and then we had multiple underage girls say he did it to them. If you don't think, right, that is concrete evidence, quote unquote, then I think you're crazy, right? Which we all already know.
Well, I think you're crazy too, Dean.